Hey, everybody, welcome to Liberty Warrior Nation. It is good to see you guys this evening. It is 8:02. We're a little bit behind, but that's okay. Thanks for being here. It is December 17th, 2025. And oh my gosh, what a day in news. What an evening with so much stuff breaking. It is unbelievable. The latest breaking news is the defense bill did get passed by the Senate this afternoon/evening. It is headed to Trump's desk. He may be signing it right before he does an address to the nation from the Oval today. That is going to start at 9 p.m., but we know that Trump does run late sometimes. So we started the show at 8. Well, should be done by 9 or so. We'll see. So if you guys got to jet out of here to watch Trump, that's fine. But I think that he's going to be running late. He always does. So it's LW&I tonight. We have so much stuff to cover. We're saying, hey, is the deep state finally being burned down to the ground? We've got all this information on the Clintons pay to play. We've got indictments left and right. There's 3 indictments that just broke, you guys. I think it was late last night. That seems to go under the radar, and they're big indictments. I have all the details on these indictments, what they entail. So our thing is the deep state being burned to the ground, you guys? It's all legal stuff that's going on now. There's a whole bunch of stuff that is breaking with that. We've also got a little fun thing because there's something that was put up in the White House Presidential Walk of Fame underneath the president's portraits. And there's some pretty interesting sayings under Obama and Biden. So LW&I are going to cover that as well. So we will be right back after this with LW and to cover all this chaotic news that's been going around all day into the evening. We'll see you in a sec.
All right, we're back. Welcome back to LWN Network. Thank you, Tammy, for the intro. As always, great job. And she has got a wonderful show produced for you guys tonight, and we're gonna we're gonna have a lot to talk about. So hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and share us out. Would love to hear your guys' comments or see your guys' comments in the chat. If you're watching this later, we'll be asking a lot of questions. And so put your comment in the chat or put your comment at the bottom of the video later. I try to get to them as much as I can. I've been pretty busy for the last 2 or 3 days. So Monday I was out of town taking care of some personal business. And Tammy and Jeff had a great show. I did listen to it, and Noah was in the chat. So thanks for covering that, Tammy.
No problemo. You had my mic muted, Mike.
Oh, did I? Well,
it's okay.
It's better that way. It's better that way. 1980 called and said they wanted their hairstyle back, Tammy, or is that 1980s or is that 1992, 93?
Well, this is the 80s, and I did it on purpose to see if you would comment. I swear I did, because the 1980s hairdo haircuts are coming back. The Farrah Fawcett look is there, and I rocked that stuff then, and I still have enough hair that I can still rock it. So of course you're gonna make fun of me on that.
You're having a good hair day. I can't say that I have the same. Mine's more nowadays a beard day. If I'm having a good beard day or not, because there ain't nothing on top.
It is looking decent today, I will say that. And I've been wondering about this. Do you use anti-yellowing shampoo on your beard? Because you better watch it, because those grays can have that yellow tinge and it's not going to look pretty. So you better keep an eye on that.
Actually, I do.
Good man, because you don't want to be
seen. It's like a purple shampoo thing.
That's what I use on
my what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. That's what I use on my hair. It's dark purple, and I have to use it every time. But the other thing is, I'm growing my hair out. I decided I'm going to not go to the salon anymore. I'm just going to grow it out. So I only have a little bit of the light left. We'll see. It's pretty dark up there still. But like I said, we'll see how that goes. If I start looking too old, you're going to have to let me know. I'm sure you will.
I thought about rocking a skullet.
Yeah, what is that?
That's when I can only grow hair around the sides and in the back and nothing on top. So I grow the mullet, but nothing on top. It's called the skullet.
Isn't that what Hulk Hogan had? Rest his soul.
It's Jesse Ventura rocks a skullet.
Oh yeah, then they wear the headband on top. Yeah. Well,
I
that
won't
ought to
do
be
that.
interesting. Let's make sure you wear a headband or a hat if you do that.
All right. Well, Tammy, like you said, a lot of stuff breaking, a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, and it is the latest thing, and one of the biggest things as we were coming on air. This broke about 5 or 6 this afternoon or evening, and it's really carrying a lot of weight out there in the internet. Is about our friend Dan Bongino. Everybody was saying that he was going to get and leave the FBI, right? And
Yep.
there's been talk about that he's already out. There's been rumors that his desk is cleared, his office is cleared, and some of his office staff actually have jobs already. That's rumor. But the reality is he is actually leaving. He came out with a statement on his X account, and he says he's going to leave the FBI in January. And all he said was this: I want to thank President Trump, AG Bondi, and Director Patel for the opportunity to serve with purpose. Most importantly, I want to thank you, my fellow Americans, for the privilege to serve you. God bless America and all those who defend her. And then also Trump came out with a statement and said with the press today that Dan did do a great job and that he thinks he wants to go back to his show. So my question to you is, do you think his show is going to be all right if he goes back to it, or have people lost a lot of their trust in him?
Well, I think you and I already had this conversation earlier. And so I'm going to play one part of it. You play the other part, Tammy. So my part is going to be Dan Bongino was ineffective. Why was Dan Bongino ineffective? You're going to play the part where you talk about was he qualified? I'm going to play the part where I feel like Dan Bongino, this is only speculation in my own opinion, folks. You can have whatever opinion you want. You can drop your opinions in chat. I feel like he went in there with the best of intentions. I am a Dan Bongino fan. I think he is by far, out of all the people in media, all the people in government, all the people out there that are running this country, or at least have something to do with the country at that high of a level, I think Dan Bongino, and this is my own opinion, is probably the number one for me for a man of integrity. That's how I feel about him. That's my perspective of Dan Bongino. And so when he went in to be deputy director under Kash Patel, I was as hopeful as everyone else for him being able to go in there and make major change. Now, this is only speculation on my part and my own opinion, but I feel like he went in there. He saw the Epstein files. He was privy to a lot of different cases and a lot of different stuff going on. And I honestly think that it scared the hell out of him, and it was very, very overwhelming for him. And so I feel, again, this is my own perspective of what I read and what I see. I think that Dan Bongino was neutralized. I think that he got in there and there was a part of whatever you want to call it, the deep state, corrupt government that really put Dan Bongino in a position. And I don't believe Dan Bongino's compromised. I don't believe Dan Bongino sold out. Again, I think he is a man of integrity. I just think that he got put in a position where he couldn't be effective at all. And so you're going to play the other part of that, but I feel like that's a good, I guess, reason why he might be stepping down. Again, purely speculation on my part, that he just feels like, hey, I'm not effective. I can't do my job. They won't allow me to do my job. I know too much. And so back to your original question, when and if Dan Bongino goes back to podcasting, which 100% he's going back. He will go back to podcasting right away. Will he be effective as a podcaster again? I believe that he will have some effect on people. But I think that there's going to be a lot of upset people with him, disappointed people with him. And again, my own opinion, you guys believe and say whatever you want, drop your comments there in chat. But I think that he will still hold a huge following. I truly believe a lot of people are going to listen to what he has to say, but the problem is he ain't going to be able to say a whole lot for the last year. Like, he won't be able to talk a whole lot about his last year. He will dance around the edges of that, but he cannot and will not going into detail for his time there in the FBI. So again, I think there's going to be a lot of people that probably will tune him out and just say, you know what, you didn't do what you said you were going to do, right? They're going to hold him accountable. And I don't think he could have done anything anyway. I think he did the best he absolutely could. So that's one side of the coin. Tammy, Mike is yours. We had this conversation earlier. What's the other flip side of that?
Well, I think that as far as being qualified or not, I think that he was decently qualified. And from his past, I know that he went in there guns a-blazing, wanted to tear it up, tell the truth, and get it out there. But I believe that when you're a podcaster doing what he did, he was the main boss. He was the boss. He didn't have to answer to anybody. He could do what he wanted to do. I believe once he got in the FBI, not only does he have to talk to Kash Patel.
He was not a Pam Bondi fan at all. And that was it. That was the boss, right? Besides Trump. And so
that's what I was. Yep.
Yeah. Tammy's getting ready to strike a nerve here.
Well, that's what it is. Now he had to go through Kash. He had to go through Pam. And don't forget, he had to go through Trump too. And that whole kabafa with the Epstein files was a big fumble on everybody's part. And it's almost like it was, mess ups all the time. They just came out and they also said, Kash Patel said that they had the bomber and then they had to backpedal that. They didn't have the bomber. Who of the head of the FBI ever goes out and says, we got the guy, and then has to backpedal and say, no, we don't have the guy. So I think a lot of fumbles of embarrassment and incompetence really got to Dan too. I think Dan is a very up and up guy, but I do believe it was too much and he couldn't handle the stress. And I think that they did suppress him. I will agree with that. I do think he was qualified. I think that you can be qualified. You go in there, he has military background. He had knowledge with these people. He knows about this. He's had experience about this. I think he was just shut down. I really believe Dan Bongino was shut down and he said, all the heck with this, because he can make more of a difference being on the outside podcasting. And I think he learned a hard lesson. And I do believe the FBI, all three-letter agencies, are still corrupt till the gills. I believe the Congress is, the government is. That's why they haven't passed one EO into law. None of that legislature. It's all sitting there. Can you imagine how frustrated he must be knowing on the inside what he knows now compared to how we are? We're all of us are PO'd. All of us are fed up and tired of waiting. The real question is, when he goes back to podcasting, if he does, because Trump said, I think he wants to go back to his show, is he on a leash? Or was it every intent to go in, work a year, work his butt off to do as much as he could do, and then he was let off the leash once he has this side information to be able to tell it and expose more to the general public? So I'm hanging in the balance, waiting to see what Bongino's move is when he goes on podcasting, because this ties into Candace Owen meeting with Erica Kirk yesterday. Everybody thought that was a big deal and Candace was going to spill all these beans and do all this stuff. I started watching the aftermath of that on Candace's show, and guess what? Unless I missed something, it was so boring that I shut it off and nothing came of that to me. So if I'm wrong in chat, correct me, because I didn't listen long enough. But I'm wondering if that's the same kind of thing where you think you're going to do all this stuff, and then whatever happens behind the scenes we don't know about, people get, you better shut up or else. And is that what happened to Dan Bongino?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna ask the chat and everybody who's watching live and everybody who's watching later. I'm gonna ask a couple of questions. You guys can go ahead and answer it there in chat, or you can drop a comment if you're watching this later. Don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share us out. Would be greatly appreciated. First question to all you watching us live tonight. Do you believe that Dan Bongino was qualified to be chosen for deputy director of the FBI? Now, let's just answer it real quick, Tammy, between you and I believe he's qualified. I believe he had enough credentials, he had enough background that he was qualified to be deputy director of the FBI. What say you?
I agree with that. Like I said, his military experience, the people he hung around, his previous experience being security and all that other stuff. I just believe that he has been around enough of those people in DC and enough people that were in the FBI, CIA, and all that he knows enough to be in there. Because otherwise, what really qualifies you? It wasn't like he was the lead guy, right? He's the second in command. So he still had 3 people to report to. But I do think he was qualified. I love Dan Bongino. And like I said, watching his podcast, LW, before he went in there, he was guns a-blazing. He's like, we are going to get through this. We are going to, and I love that he's a sensitive guy too. He's open, he's honest, he's sensitive. He doesn't have a problem showing tears. He's got real emotion. He's not a blank stare, because I don't know, I've got questions about Cash, because Cash was the same way. And now that Cash is in there, he's like this. Like he's just, his eyes are all kooky and he's weird and he's just not the same. And I think that Dan Bongino did the best thing he ever could do, is get his ass out of there, because I believe it's so
supposed to be a short answer.
Well, I'm sorry.
It was supposed to be a short answer. You just keep going and going and going.
Because it's a big deal. It is a big deal, right?
It is a big deal. Here's my second question.
Okay.
Here's my second question to chat. Everybody watching live, drop a comment if you're watching later. Do you think that Pam Bondi has anything to do with Dan Bongino leaving the FBI? And what I mean by that is, do you think he can't work with her? Obviously, I don't think that he really likes her. Do you think that her incompetence maybe kind of overshadows the whole FBI and the Department of Justice? And so he wants to get the hell out of there because he doesn't want to be part of that. That's my question. Tammy, I'm going to come to you for your answer. Try to make it a little shorter, okay, damn it.
All right.
I think that Pam Bondi is a huge deal to Dan Bongino. Now, on what level, and did he make a decision because of it? I don't know. I don't really have more than I think she was a big part of the reason why he's leaving. What say you, Tammy?
I will say I agree with that. I don't care for Pam Bondi, even though Trump promotes her like crazy. And she fumbled the Epstein files, her first big chance to look good, and she failed and made them all look stupid. There.
Didn't he even say that at one time, that she was making them all look stupid?
It's so bad. Yeah, it's so bad. She isn't doing her job, LW. Okay.
Last question on the whole Dan Bongino topic, and then we're going to move on to a next topic. This is for all you guys in chat. I'm reading through some of the comments that they're going pretty quick. I'm trying to read through some of them. But appreciate you guys commenting on these questions. Again, if you're watching this at a later time, just go ahead and make a comment there. I'll try to get to them. So, Dan Bongino, last question. When he goes back to podcasting, which I truly believe that is exactly where he's headed, he ain't going anywhere else but straight back to the mic. As a listener, as a Dan Bongino fan, listener, do you think that Dan Bongino will be as effective behind the mic as he was pre FBI deputy director? Do you believe he's going to come back to the mic and be better, be worse, be less than? What say you, Tammy? I believe he's going to come back with a new fire. But again, signing NDAs, he's going to be limited to what he really can say. So to me, it's going to be even more interesting to see how he navigates the mic after working for the FBI. What say you?
I think if he does have to sign an NDA, which I'm not sure if they do or not, I would assume so.
Oh, he already did.
How long?
He would have had to just to take the position. He wouldn't have been able to take the position without signing an NDA.
Well, I want to know how long the NDA is for, because
probably lasts for 70 years, something like that.
Well, okay, so is he gonna play word monopoly with us, word puzzle, or word scramble? We have to figure it out. Is he still gonna give as much information as he can and give us clues and make us hint on it? You know,
Is he the next Q?
Is he the next what? The next
You heard what I said.
No, I didn't.
I didn't stutter.
I didn't hear what you said. I didn't hear what you said.
Said, is he the next Q?
LW, that
All
is
right,
the letter
moving on.
of the alphabet.
Let's move on. What's the next topic?
It is the 17th. It is the 17th.
Today is the 17th. Today is the 17th. Will he be the next Q?
That may be. Well, okay, so this came out, Clinton's depositions. People have been all upset about that because of the Epstein probe. They haven't shown up. They were told in the summer to show up. They're not showing up. But the House Oversight Chairman James Comer is done waiting, apparently. You can pull up the pay-to-play John Solomon, the first video. We'll play it in a second after I talk about this real quick, LW. But he's basically pushing back on Bill and Hillary on their depositions. He actually gave them until January to show up. The first was December, but apparently they said they were going to a funeral on that day. So Comer decided to give them dates in January and said, hey, can you pick them? They didn't pick them. So he gave the dates and he said January 13th is the date for the deposition of President Clinton. January 14th is the deposition for Hillary Clinton. And he said, if your clients do not comply with these dates, that the committee is going to move to immediately contempt proceedings. Now, contempt proceedings, maybe they'll be different, but I read up on contempt proceedings that it's really not that big of a deal. Now, because of the situation, maybe they can do more to them. I don't know, but it's really not. The punishment is like $100,000, and it's just kind of silly to me. But basically they've got timelines now they're supposed to meet. So, you know, they started this in November 21st of 2025. They gave a letter for them to do depositions, and we're still hem-hawing back and forth. But this is the killer right here with John Solomon saying new docs came out. So maybe they will show up to try to, you know, bargain or something. So let's see what John Bolton or Solomon has to say about these new documents that were exposed about Hillary.
All right. Can you guys give me a 5x5 there in chat? As long as you guys can hear the volume, please. Appreciate it. Here we go.
The first Trump administration, there were people in the Justice Department and the FBI who were protecting Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton from the sort of justice they should face for a pay-to-play scheme involving their foundation and Hillary Clinton's decisions as Secretary of State. Extraordinary memos, extraordinary details. We learned for the first time in these documents that Kash Patel and Pam Bondi gave to Chuck Grassley and Chuck Grassley gave to Just the News that the FBI first intercepted information suggesting a pay-to-play scheme with Hillary Clinton back in 2010. They were sitting, or they had a recording, a consensual recording made of a conversation by a famous Democrat, Indian-American Democrat donor fundraiser named Chatwell. He would eventually go be convicted of some fundraising crimes. But the concern in that call was not excessive limits or contributions exceeding the limits. It was the idea that foreigners were lining up and they were going to give money to the Clinton Foundation so that Hillary Clinton could make favorable decisions for them and their countries and their foreign companies. That didn't go anywhere during the Obama years. In 2016, 3 separate FBI offices, as you and I have talked about, because these were earlier documents we got, opened up. And then on the Clinton Foundation, Little Rock, Washington, D.C., and New York all believed they had clear evidence of a pay-to-play corruption scheme involving the Clintons. As we mentioned the last time we talked about this, Sally Yates gave a command from the deputy attorney saying, shut it down. But inside the FBI, 16, 17, 18, it kept getting shut down. Andy McCabe kept shutting it down, kept putting pressure there to shut it down.
When is the statute of limitations run out on McCabe and these guys to get them up? Because I'm hearing it's like the last week of January of next year.
Well, remember McCabe left in 2017, so 5 years is 2022. The real statute is in 2026. If you take the conspiracy case that Florida is about to begin in January, the clock is ticking, but you can bring a very big conspiracy case, and that case is now underway. For the first time, I can confirm They're bringing witnesses and evidence before a grand jury in Florida to look at the last decade as one ongoing criminal conspiracy. Well, what you end up seeing in this story this morning is that even during the first Trump administration,
Okay, that's it. So can you believe that? So did you catch at the very end what he said? They are actually putting in action all the things that we've been talking about, and they are checking in the last decade. To me, that's pretty incredible. Now, time is of the essence, right? Because Trump is only in for so long. Time is of the essence because the statute of limitations ends on some things, right? And we are getting very like a rat's rear hair close of the statute of limitations on a lot of things. We talked about that on the show the other night as well. So, a lot of stuff has to be done in an expedient amount of time. And we talked about the Clintons, their foundations, and all the crap that they did over the years. It's just, to me, it's a little bit of breath of fresh air to find that they are actually have litigation moving forward in all of it.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that the Clintons have paid to play. There's zero doubt that the Clintons have gotten wealthy off of selling secrets, selling favors, not just here in America, but around the world. And we talk about this all the time on this show. There's a massive percentage of congressmen and women that have become wealthy in a short amount of time on a senator or congressman or woman's salary of 150 to 175,000 a year. They go in there and they come out multimillionaires. They're all selling secrets. They're all selling favors. They're all selling themselves. And the Clintons, in my opinion, besides the Obamas, are probably at the very top of that heap. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. All the crap that we have seen over the years and uncovered, and not anybody having accountability is ridiculous. We need the accountability. If we don't have accountability, these people are going to do the same thing that they did before. And we're going to lose the midterms as well. We have to be very, very careful here and stay very, very active. Now, the Clintons are at the top of this tip of the spear, let's just say. But you know what? Obama's not innocent either. The Bushes aren't innocent. We've got some rhinos that aren't innocent. It runs long, wide, and deep. Now, we're talking tonight all about the different litigation that's going on, all about the exposure that's going on. The next thing we're going to go into is the John Solomon, the next video. He talks about documents that show the Biden DOJ did not have probable cause to raid Mar-a-Lago. That's a whole nother can of worms that just got opened up, and it's pretty impressive. John E said in there, treason has no expiration date. This all gets very complicated when you talk about litigation, judges, timeframes, statute of limitations, blah, 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 blah. So if there is treason, if they get charged with treason, that's right. There is no expiration date. So that comes into that little folder.
What's the penalty for treason, Tammy?
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Don't forget that Donald Trump just signed that into, well, I think it was an executive order, so I don't think it's been put into law yet. But he did sign that like the first month or two that he was back in office. He did sign the orders for what the penalty of treason is. Now, we talk about it here on the show all the time about how many people actually have committed treason to this country. And there's quite a few of them. So here's my question for you watching live tonight. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share us out, whether you're on Rumble, X, Facebook, or YouTube. We appreciate all the support you can give us. Tammy, make sure you check your email. And here's the question. It's an easy question. I already know what the answer is going to be, but I want to see chat blow up. Do you guys believe? Well, okay, let me change it. We all believe that the Clintons have definitely prospered for selling secrets and selling favors all across the world. But who do you think was the worst? Do you believe it was Bill Clinton, or do you think it was Hillary Clinton that was the worst in all of those allegations against selling America out? Do you believe that Bill Clinton sold us out more, or do you believe that Hillary Clinton sold us out more? Because me personally, I think Hillary did. I think she's more evil. With that same question, do you believe the Obamas sold us out? Do you believe the Bidens sold us out? What percentage of our government do you believe sold us out? That's a question for you, Tammy. Do you believe that Bill or Hillary's worse? And what percentage do you believe our government has sold us out? Because me personally, I believe 95 to 98% of our government has sold America out.
I'm going to agree with those statistics, because even the ones that haven't sold us out, like Matt Gaetz left, Marjorie Taylor Greene, even though she's a little rough and had issues, she's leaving. There's not very many. Tim Burchett, the representative from Tennessee, I love, he's still in there fighting the good fight, but that's it. And I believe Hillary was a lot worse. I believe Bill, I just believe he was the head puppet and she wore the pants, that he was just the one that he had to listen to her. I think she was way worse, way evil. And I just think that he was a weak man that went along with her. Like, she's like a man, the way she behaves, really. So that's the way I feel.
Here's the last question for chat. And for those of you who are watching later, just go ahead and drop a comment in there and we'll try to get to it before we move on to the next section here. Is there anyone out there in government, whether it be you can name either Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz. There's a few names out there that maybe might pop up in chat or maybe might pop up in a comment. Do you believe that anyone out there has been what's the word I'm looking for? It has integrity for our country and has not sold us out. Is there anyone in our government, and Tammy, I'm going to go to you next for the answer to that question. If you believe, is there anybody in government that has not sold America out? And if so, who is that? Who is the one person? Who's the two people? Who's the three people that you think has not sold this country out? Tammy, what's your thought?
Okay, real quick, I want to say thanks to White Devil before I forget. White Devil bought us 3 coffees this evening and said, why is the mainstream media not covering the largest economic story of our time? I agree. The mainstream media is not covering much of important stuff in these days. But thank you, White Devil. Thank you, everybody that donates coffees or money or super chats and all that to this channel. Much. We appreciate it. But I think, okay, so I'm going to go with this. I was a big fan of Doug Collins as well. Doug Collins left and is heading up the Veterans Affairs. You know, Pongino's leaving. I think that the really good people, what I'm seeing, have left because they can't do what they want to do. And so they go places to be able to do what they can do and make a difference doing something. I believe if you're in that rat's nest, that you stay there. And you are bought, sold, and paid for, because think about it. 1 or 2 people do not have any power to stand up for the truth when all the people, the hundreds of people in Congress, Senate, and all that are bought and sold and paid for. We've seen time after time how they say you are bought, sold, and paid for. Lobbyists come in and they say, do this and do that, and we'll give you money. How do you fight that big machine? That's why it has to start at the top and come all the way down and be torn apart. That's how I feel about it. Doug Collins was wonderful. Jim Jordan still flim-flams back and forth. Mike Johnson There's nobody I can think of, LW, besides Tim Burchett that is left that I can think of that I am standing behind. Tim Burchett's amazing.
All right. So here's what I'll say, and then we'll move on to the next one. I think it's not a matter of if. I think it's a matter of when. Do they last 1 year? Do they last 6 months? Do they last 1 year? Do they last, their four? Do they last their first term of 4 years or their first term of 6 years? It's not a matter of if. It's just a matter of when. When like Tammy says, the whole black cloud comes down on top of them and they're pressured into something. Now, is that Marjorie Taylor Greene? Is that why she's leaving? I believe that's definitely plays a part into that. Is that why Matt Gaetz left? Possibly played a part into that. But yeah, I just think that you cannot. I think that's why part of the reason why Marjorie Taylor Greene is leaving is you cannot stand up to the establishment and win by yourself. I mean, it would take a massive landslide of 90% of Congress and the Senate to just stand up and say, no more. We're done with all this foolishness, and we're going to set the record straight. But none of them are going to do it because there's too much corruption. It's too deep, and it's too evil. And so it's just a matter of when. And some of them, I think, are exiting stage left on purpose because they can't take it anymore and they don't want to be part of it. So I don't think that there's anyone that I can say will stay good. That's just my opinion.
And people in chat are saying John Kennedy, F. Kennedy. Now that guy's from Kentucky, I believe, and he's the one that has all the witticism words, the great funny words. Now, but he's been in there a long time, and he doesn't seem like he did, but really, I like the guy, and he has funny little things, and he calls people out, but it's in a comedic kind of way. I'm not sure about him when it comes to the question you asked. I like him, or Louisiana. I like him, but has he really pushed forward like the Gateses and the Collins and all of them back in the day? I'm not sure. Louisiana. Yeah. So do you want to move on to the next video, which is about Mar-a-Lago? Are you ready to cover that?
I'm ready. Whenever you are.
And by the way, this is how it is out there. Marjorie Taylor Greene got engaged to Brian Glenn, and they're very happy. They're very happy. But boy, is the internet tearing the hell out of them too, saying that she cheated and he cheated and blah, 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 blah. It's nobody can have anything sacred and fun and celebratory without somebody finding something to rip everyone apart. There's nobody out there that doesn't get ripped apart anymore. And I just think that's a sad society that we're living in right now. And that's all I got to say about that. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes in their personal lives. I mean, we judge from what visuals. It's ridiculous. So I'm going to say congratulations to them. Both.
Well, congratulations, Brian. Congratulations, Marjorie Taylor Greene. What a whirlwind you're going to live through here soon. So, you ready for this video, Tammy?
Okay. Yep, go ahead and play it. He's talking about probable cause for raiding Mar-a-Lago. They didn't have it.
Okay.
Turn over a tranche of emails showing that the Justice Department, the Biden Justice Department, did not have probable cause, did not meet the standard for a search warrant when they raided President Trump's home at Mar-a-Lago. That is significant. Why? It's in the statutory limit. It is prosecutable in the state of Florida, so you're not dealing with Virginia or Washington or New York jurors. And it could lead to both criminal charges against the prosecutors if they misled the court, or civil litigations where the president sues his own Justice Department saying, you violated my Fourth Amendment right against illegal search and seizure. And so those are really, this is a significant, this may be the most important document today.
This a blockbuster. You're telling me there actually exists communications between people that show that they didn't have probable cause, which, remember, back in August that year, there was I think it was 21, there was this whole firestorm about this. And they went on TV every night and said that. You're saying they not only they had a discussion behind, they actually went out and lied about it in media every single day on MSNBC and in the New York Times.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Find out what they represented to the judge to get that search warrant signed, because the FBI, the Washington field office of the FBI, which, by the way, was no fan of Donald Trump. They were behind January 6th. They were behind Russia collusion. They were telling the Biden Justice Department there was not a probable cause to raid Mar-a-Lago. That is a significant. These are emails and memos from inside the Washington field office of the FBI, an anti-Trump field office. That is a really significant memo. We haven't seen the documents yet, We know what they generally say, but we're going to see. They're going to get turned over to Grassley in Jordan today, and then Jack Smith's on the Hill tomorrow for a deposition. If he shows up, I'm sure he's going to be confronted by these documents.
So that's pretty interesting to me. Everything that we talked about before, and that's the whole point of the show tonight. All the stuff that we talked about, and we're asking questions about. Is this legal? This doesn't seem right. This doesn't seem true. Now we're seeing all the documentation being released, being exposed, saying that is a big deal. If they raided Mar-a-Lago and they didn't have probable cause, that is a whole nother lineup of people that will be indicted and being taken down, or at least putting in court. My hesitation with all this, however, is the judicial system up and running functionally? Because we know there's a lot of corrupt judges there as well. So, I feel like sometimes, like I said before, we run forward and then all of a sudden we got to take 10 steps back.
Well, I'll say it like I did back when this all unfolded. I feel like that administration weaponized the DOJ and went after its opponents. It was blatant. I mean, you'd have to be blind and stupid to not see it when it was unfolding. And I do hope that people are held accountable for that, in the DOJ and in that administration as well. I think they should all be brought to justice, because what they did to a former president is horrendous and it was unexcusable. And what they did to the first lady was absolutely disgusting. And I hope that people have to pay the price for that, Tammy. I really do.
And me too. And not only just them, LW, it was the American people and the taxpayers' money that was wasted. And speaking of Jack Smith, he did have a deposition today. It was supposed to last a long time. The only thing that I caught from it, he was asked again whether he would prosecute President Trump on the same facts today. And he said he would do so regardless of whether the president was a Republican or a Democrat. So he's doubling down on all the bullshit that he did, and it's behind closed doors as far as that goes. But they say that Republicans are supposed to ask him heated questions. I don't know about you, LW, but I'm sick of the heated questions. I want some action here. I don't want them delaying the Clintons from being able to give a deposition or put some cuffs on them. I don't want to hear Jack Smith's behind closed doors and, the Republicans are going to be a little rough on him. I mean, it's time for accountability. We are screwed in a bad way if we don't get accountability down the road here real soon, not far down the road.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's my question for chat. For those of you watching this live tonight, go ahead and drop your comment there in the live chat. There is a live chat on X, just so you guys know over there watching on X. You can also join this conversation by just putting in your live comment there. We see you over on Rumble. We see you on Facebook. We see you on YouTube. So thanks for the comments. Here is my question. Do you guys believe that in August of 2021, that Donald Trump broke any kind of law when it pertained to those documents that he was holding at Mar-a-Lago? And listen, I see some of the comments in there. There are people in here with a different opinion, and that's fine. So do you believe that Donald Trump was definitely had committed a crime by holding those documents, even though a president can hold documents like that? And don't forget that Sleepy Joe had taken documents home to his garage, and he was a vice president, and you are not allowed to do that as a vice president. So was Joe Biden guilty of holding documents he should not have had? So that's a question for you guys tonight. If you want to answer that, drop your comment there in the live chat or drop a comment later. What do you think, Tammy? Do you think he was guilty? And here's my second question to those of you listening tonight, and if you want to comment later, do you believe, and I don't think that Joe Biden was running the government. I don't think Joe Biden was even home. I think the lights were on and nobody was home. But do you believe that Joe Biden's administration weaponized the DOJ in the 4 years that he was supposedly president? Do you believe that happened? Did he come after conservatives? Did the DOJ, did that administration silence us on social media? Because I was silenced. I lost a lot of money. I lost a lot of followers. I lost a lot of I lost a lot because I was censored quite a bit. And I'm shocked that we're still up and running today after all this. So thank you to Elon Musk for helping us with freedom of speech. And thank you, Donald Trump. So Tammy, you want to answer those questions?
I do think that that Biden was guilty. Don't forget his son was actively involved in around the White House in all those shenanigans and stuff that he was involved in that nobody's paid a price for. So having those documents there, I'm pretty sure it wasn't even him that did it. It's probably staffers or his wife or Hunter himself that pulled the documents, maybe looking for something to hold against somebody, or to protect themselves. Whatever happened, it wasn't for a normal just look through or what the president wants to do. I believe that people are just left and right trying to hide things and bury things, like we found out with so many different instances, even throughout our history. They hide them because they don't want the truth to come out. You know, life is weird that way. The truth always ends up coming out eventually, maybe not when we want it to, but I believe that the guilty hide stuff. They want it to stay in the dark. And I don't believe that Trump did anything wrong. He had the documents legitimately. What are those documents even doing? Like, why are they even around then? You know, it's like, were they just supposed to sit in a storage vault where you get a corrupt FBI agent or DOJ person where they hide them, where they can't be found, like some of the documents that they finally discovered and said these weren't meant to even be seen. They were buried in the back corner of some room. What the hell is that all about? Like, why is everything so nasty and corrupt? I just don't understand it. Those that have nothing to hide will come out and be full transparency. And that's the way I feel. It's just truth is truth and a lie needs to be hidden. That's all I feel about it. And I believe that, you know, Donald Trump, they've been looking for years and years to get something against him. They found nothing. And all these freaking congressmen and getting rich and all the things we've talked about over the years, and Hunter and Biden, and they saying he was healthy and he's not. You know, LW, it's just been nothing but lie after lie after lie after lie with some people, even in Congress, even on the Republican side.
We're lied to every day. It's both sides lied to us.
Yeah. So that's how I feel about it. I mean, if you have nothing to hide, show it. Like, what gave these people as representatives of us the right to hide things from us, to tell us lies and say, guess what? We know better than you. You guys can't handle the truth.
Good, Tammy. It's for the better good. They lied to us. They cheat us for the better good. And usually it's to help people from not from here. Let's just put it that way.
Let's put it that way. But this is the other big thing that to talk about. There were 3 major indictments that broke, that kind of got buried because of all this other stuff out there. And then the whole thing with Erica Kirk and Candace Owens, people are paying attention to that. People are just, they're pushing the things they want us to pay attention to and burying the stuff they don't want us to see like they normally do. So the first indictment that came out yesterday was against John Bolton, and it's 18 freaking counts of classified intel and family involvement. So the grand jury indictments, it's basically a national security breach that Bolton committed. He was Trump's former national security advisor. He's the one who betrayed the president and the American people. So this is what he's accused of. And this is what the indictment is: sending thousands of pages of classified material to 2 relatives who lived in his home. Talk about having material, LW. We just said, are they guilty as presidents? What's John Bolton doing with this stuff? Putting them in relatives where relatives lived in his home. Sharing information from inside the White House, his daily operations as NSA, removing and storing documents marked top secret and compartmentalized in unauthorized locations like his home and office, documents again where they don't belong, basically it's criminal exposure, they said, of a national security data to unapproved civilians, which is another thing. We aren't supposed to know about this classified stuff, hence that's why it's classified. So basically there's 18 counts of that. Indictment number 2, Smartmatic, for foreign bribes, dirty election money. So as Bolton's crimes were exposed over here, a second grand jury in Miami hit Smartmatic, the election technology giant, with a federal indictment. The Trump Justice Department accuses Smartmatic of paying $1 million in bribes to win an election contract in the Philippines. So yes, it was foreign election money. We've talked about that many times, right? Backroom deals, bribes, and all that. Now that's the same company that's been under fire from election integrity watchdogs. Now they're under official criminal indictment. You know, Trump warned us about corruption, election technology, and everybody laughed. The media laughed, all the people laughed and said it's conspiracy. Well, there's an indictment up their butts for that now. Now the third indictment, LW, is Antifa Cell. So a third grand jury in Dallas, Texas, dropped an indictment on 11 Antifa members accused of plotting and executing a violent armed attack on federal ICE facility in Fort Worth. We talked about that as well. The indictment includes plans to acquire rifles aimed to harm ICE employees. Targeted agents were transporting illegal aliens just doing their jobs. Remember when the Democrats said Antifa was just an idea? So on one side, they're saying Antifa isn't real. On the next side, here we are. They're indicted. So those are 3 major indictments that came down. Now, Bolton, Mr. Mustache, I think his mustache needs an indictment of its own. That's a criminal crime there to have that kind of mustache. But those are some big deals. You know, at least that's movement.
They distract us with all this other petty stuff so that we're not paying attention to that.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's a big deal. Now, you know, what comes of it once again. Now, remember when we said a long time, well, in the summer, I was actually reporting on Headline Hits that we need a lot more attorneys, a lot more people, because the system's going to get backlogged as all this stuff comes in. And that's what I'm worried about, is the judicial system and everything getting so backlogged. They're not going to be able to handle all this. You know, it is one thing to have the indictments. It's another to have, you know,
so I guess this question goes to my brother, John Estabrooks, who's there in chat.
Mm-hmm.
If it becomes an indictment of treason or sedition, is that when the military JAG lawyers and the prosecuting JAG lawyers would take over and it would become more of a military court at that point? It's just a question that I have. I find it interesting. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, because there's got to be, that would be interesting to find out, because the regular court and judicial system, I don't think that would be so backlogged. How are they going to do this? And then we've still got corrupt judges. So if we could have it, the military or the JAG people.
Well, everybody's saying we're T-minus 5 minutes before Trump comes on. I'm not too worried about the time because he's always late anyway.
Yes.
He will not be on time. I can promise you that. But we'll be wrapping up here shortly. And if you guys want to watch Trump tonight, believe me, you'll have plenty of opportunity to do that because we won't even be on when he goes live. Yeah. So Tammy, what do you got next?
Okay, so let's go to the Tulsi, the last video there. It's only a few seconds because she's talking about election integrity, which ties into a lot of stuff too as well. And I want to cover a couple things because
I've got the next video up that you had in order. So I don't know.
we don't need the other Mar-a-Lago one because we're pressed for time. So let's just go ahead and jump to the next one.
All right.
So yeah, we'll let you play that one first and then we'll cover. I've got details of what she's going to talk about here.
Okay, Tulsi Gabbard. Give me just 1 second here.
Yeah. And you guys, Trump never goes on in time anyhow, so I'm sure it'll be 9:30 by the time it comes on, or 9:15. Supposedly he's talking about his 2026 agenda because he's not doing well in the polls. That's why he's out there doing the rallies again across the country, is because they have concerns about that. So go ahead, and you're ready?
Yep, I'm ready when you are.
Okay, go ahead. It's just a 20-some second video.
I've got a long list of things that we're investigating. We have the best of the best going after this. Election integrity being one of them. We have evidence of how these electronic voting systems have been vulnerable to hackers for a very long time, and vulnerable to exploitation to manipulate the results of the votes being cast, which further drives forward your mandate to bring about paper ballots across the country so that voters can have faith in the integrity of our elections.
So that's
I've got a
refreshing.
long list of things.
So that's refreshing. That's what we've talked about for so long about election integrity. You know, Dominion apparently deleted 2.7 million Trump votes nationwide. Then they found that Pennsylvania votes, 221,000 switched from President Trump to Biden. 141,000 Trump votes were deleted. And then states using Dominion voting system switched 435,000 votes from Trump to Biden. So what's refreshing about this is we've all known about this and talked about it, but her saying that we have evidence and we're looking into many avenues is very refreshing. Also, Trump's DOJ, LW, has officially sued Fulton County, Georgia here to seize every 2020 election ballot and record, because remember all the chaos that went here in Georgia, right? So basically what he's being demanded from Fulton County is every used and void ballot, signature envelopes, all related digital election files, and it isn't optional paperwork. This is all evidence. So what happened is the DOJ is asking the federal judge to step in because Fulton County is not complying. They say that their excuse is the ballots are sealed and need a court order. So I'm glad that there's litigation going on for that as well. It's more exposure. It's everything coming to fruition, what we've talked about for many years.
Awesome. Keep it up. Check your email.
Oh.
And I am trying to find something here. So for some
Okay.
reason, I have a hard time.
So buy me a coffee. Vicky Graves bought us 3 coffees. Thank you so much, Vicky. I don't see a note on here, but thank you so much for the coffees. We really appreciate it so much, you guys. And we do have another giveaway that's coming up. So a reminder to everybody, if you're new or haven't heard, every time that you make a donation or you purchase something off of the website that we have for the LWN merchandise, every $5 you spend is an entry into the drawing that we are going to have down the road. And we have some gift certificates we're giving away for the shop. We're giving some coins, and LW has a special surprise that I can't say right now that he's going to offer up, but we can't talk about it quite yet because he'll kick me to the curb if I do. So we've got some big things coming and some good things coming.
Yeah, don't ruin the surprise, Tammy.
I'm not going to, LW. I know how to keep my mouth shut when I try.
All right. Well, what else do you got for tonight?
Okay, I've got the last thing. Now, this is something that I need to share. Did you find what you wanted to look for? You were looking for? Are you good?
Yeah, I found it, but for some reason it's not working. So I don't know what the hell's going on, but go ahead.
Okay, so this is what I want to share. It's not audio, so I should be fine. So this is about the White House portraits. There's plaques that were put underneath these portraits now. Okay, and this to me was freaking hilarious. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to scroll through this Gateway Pundit article, and these are the portraits on the Presidential Hall of Fame here, right? So they got the dates on here and the presidents and all that. However, when it comes to the little plaques underneath, so there's plaques underneath. Let me see if I scroll down. There's little plaques under there now. See that, guys? I know you can't read it, but I'm going to read it for you, because under Biden's plaque, it says this: Sleepy Joe Biden was by far the worst president in American history, taking office as a result of the most corrupt election ever seen in the United States. Biden oversaw a series of unprecedented disasters that brought our nation to the brink of destruction. His policies caused the highest inflation ever recorded, leading the U.S. dollar to lose more than 20% of its value in 4 years. Then he goes on to talk about his Green New Scam deal. But then you drop to the bottom and it says, nicknamed both Sleepy and Crooked Joe Biden, was dominated by his radical left handlers. They and their allies and all the fake news media attempted to cover up his severe mental decline and his unprecedented use of the auto pen. Following his humiliating debate loss to President Trump in the big June 2024 debate, he was forced to withdraw from his campaign for re-election in disgrace. And then it continues there. And it says basically, but despite it all, President Trump would get reelected in a landslide and save America. Is that not the funniest freaking thing to have in the White House? You look at all the people, all the presidents, dignitaries, and all that stuff, and what they're going to be walking by that. And then Barack, he has something under there. He said he was the first Black president, a community organizer, one-term senator from Illinois, is one of the most divisive political figures in American history. And it goes on to talk about him, about the Russia hoax. And Hillary Rodham Clinton would then lose the presidency to Donald J. Trump, his handpicked successor, Hillary. So he really knocks these people in these little things down here. And I know that's typical Trump, but I think it was a pretty cool thing to see and pretty ballsy.
Right. Well, we got to wrap it up, Tammy, because they're saying Trump's live. So he made us a liar tonight. I guess he's on time. So let's just go ahead and roll into final thought, and then we'll get out of here because everybody's dropping to go watch Trump.
Okay, well, I'll just say, let's see what Trump has to say if it's 2026 agenda. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Let's see how tonight ends with Donald Trump out there speaking to the nation on the 17th of December 2025. It's almost the end of the year. So
Yep.
we'll be back Monday for sure for Cigar and Brandy with Jeff B. And maybe we'll be back sooner. We'll have to see. But thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks, Tammy.
Bye. Good night.
All right. Catch you on the next one. Wings.
Wings.
Got to do the wings.